United Nations Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security is a historic resolution because it is the first Security Council resolution that specifically addresses the needs of women and girls in armed conflict.
It incorporates international principles on prevention of conflict, on protection of civilians, including women and children.
It came also with the collaboration between governments and civil society. So in that sense it is a very unique resolution. And the content of the resolution is also very practical. So it really is a tool that women organizations, women activists, women movements all over the world can use.
We still don't see women in the formal negotiation processes represented enough. Informally, in the informal processes, women are quite active, but when it's time to have peace negotiations, women are not invited to the table.
I don't think that women can undertake their activism within isolation. We need to build a strategic alliance with the men. We need them.
In a conflict situation, of course, women are usually in a disadvantaged position. They become dependent on men for their protection from rape and other dangers.
Rape has been used globally as a weapon of war these days. And apart from rape, there are other gender-based violence that women face.
When I hear people talk about 1325, I see them still talk about women as victims or the need to increase women's role in the military or police forces. I don't see what for me is the more transformational aspect, which is women as peace actors. And you don't have to create them, they are already there.
Women need to be mobilized first, and they need to be empowered. Their capacities need to be built.
Women often take the initiative to actively approach their government, so they don't have to look for these women for long because they're there. All they need to do basically is give them the space to participate, to give them a voice, and they will do the rest.
It's very important for us to be at negotiation tables so that we can bring out the shape that is desired for human development.
1325 is addressed at different levels because it's wanting to prevent conflict, it's wanting to increase involvement of women in peace and security issues. That has to involve many different levels across society. It has to include women in issues to do with economics, issues to do with cultural change, issues to do with defence forces, issues to do with security, police and political decision making.
One way to use that 1325 is to translate it into your local language. The reason I'm saying that it's not enough to just sign it, ratify it at the government level and say it looks all good. You are part of the big community, democratic community. It's not enough.
It's a very important framework, but it doesn't have specific directions in terms of enforcement. And it's good for national governments to enact specific national plans and strategies to enforce the principles of 1325.
1325 is a very big motivator in enabling grassroots groups and NGOs to continue to lobby governments, to form deadlines, to form timelines, and then to be able to evaluate what is going on. It's an advocacy tool.
There are a few countries who are already using the 1325 as a framework for their actions. For example, Liberia. they did already a lot that is in the resolution before the resolution was invented. The women, they mobilized large crowds of women, and they campaigned, for example, with the slogan, no sex without peace. So the women were sitting in front of the parliament for 8 months to demand peace, because they were not allowed to enter. And they were successful. Then the women campaigned for a woman president, and they were successful because a woman president was elected against all odds. And then they built up the infrastructure also to make women in the country aware of the existence of 1325.
1325 is in many ways a very loose document. By that I mean it doesn't have explicit timelines, explicit targets, and that in my view is a mistake. But that is the responsibility then of nation states to develop a national action plan.
I think all resolutions, they have the chance not to be successful because it remains lip service. So that is always, it is implicated in producing a resolution. So it depends on the people really how much they want it, if it is going to be shaped according to the needs of the people and the organizations.
One would be to allocate huge funds for the, for the implementation. Two will be a huge campaign, capacity building, awareness raising, education for the people. When I'm saying the people, I'm not talking only the people at the grassroots, but I'm also talking about the decision makers at the national level. They should be aware of the resolution. So I think we need to undertake, to start, to spearhead a huge campaign.
The new peace agenda has to be inclusive in conflict societies, and inclusivity of all marginalised groups means that women and men must work together. Sometimes women need their own space to work through certain issues, but always there must be strategic alliances.
Even living in a country like Holland, you can get involved. You can address your government to draft an action plan 1325 like the Dutch government did, but you can have also actions to mobilize other people, to make them aware of what's going on in these countries, to make them aware of the situation of women there, and to show your solidarity.
We see now that after 8 years, 8 countries have action plans. But for me, it will only be a success when the action plan is turned into reality. And for that, it means that people take it serious, they invest in it. And I think that is a long way that we still have to go. I think sometimes for our government, it can be very good to show that you have an action plan. That in itself can be seen as that you're working on it. But it doesn't mean that you also allocate the necessary funds to implement it. So I think a lot of lobby will be needed from civil society to make sure that that happens.